Hello everyone, my name is Juan Rodriguez and today I will be conducting a code review of Peregrine Inventory, a mobile inventory management application developed for Android using Java, Android Studio, and SQLite database. This project was initially created as part of my CS360 mobile architecture and programming course and has since undergone enhancements to improve usability, security, and data efficiency. Peregrine Inventory is designed to help businesses track and manage inventory with key features such as user authentication, inventory management, real-time SMS notifications, bulk deletion, and database operations. During this code review, I will analyze structure, performance, and maintainability of the codebase, evaluating how best practices in software engineering, database management, and user interface and user experience design have been applied. We will first start by running the app. We need to first register first name, phone number, email address, and a password. Now, I added a forgot password feature. Let's first enter our email. Now I will purposely add the wrong password. It didn't work, so I will click on Forgot Password. We enter our phone number. And then we get our password, which is simply password. And we click sign in. Right now the application is empty, so we could go ahead and add an item. Let's add another item. Before my enhancements, I did not have the forgot password feature, and you could only delete one item at a time. Now with the enhancement, we could delete all the items with one click. It also has a SMS feature. We need to enable permission. And when our inventory is low, we will receive a SMS notification. Now let's look at the code. We will be starting with our add item activity file, which is responsible for allowing users to add new inventory items to the SQLite database. It provides an intuitive user interface where users can input item details, adjust quantity, and save the data securely. Our onCreate method initializes the activity and sets up the user interactions. Our set content view loads the XML layout for the activity. We initialize the user interface components inside the onCreate method. We retrieve the user email passed from the item list activity. We display the user email in the text view. We have a listener to increment the item quantity, and we have a listener to decrement the item quantity. For our insert item into database method, this method inserts item data into the database. We make a call to check that the fields are not empty. If input is valid, a new item object is created. And for our last method inside the add item activity file, the check edit text not empty method ensures that the required fields are not left blank. And I added comments to make the code easier to read. Now we will look at our custom items list. Now we are looking at our custom items list. It's a custom adapter for displaying inventory items in a list view. Extents-based adapter provides functionalities to render inventory items dynamically from the SQLite database, edit and delete items using buttons integrated into the list layout, highlight out-of-stock items by changing their background color, sends real-time SMS notifications when an item's quantity reaches 0. I also included comments within the file to make the code easier to understand. Let's take a look at our getView method. This method handles how each row in the list view is displayed and managed. We check if the view is new or recycled. If the convert view is null, a new layout is inflated. Otherwise, the existing view holder is retrieved for efficiency. If the item quantity is 0, the row background turns red and an SMS alert is sent. For my edit pop-up method, the edit pop-up method allows users to modify an inventory item's details in a pop-up window. We see the window custom size and position within the Android application. This is also where we initialize our save and cancel buttons in the pop-up. Clicking the save button updates the item in the database and user interface. The cancel button closes the pop-up without saving. Now we will look at our delete items. The delete item is responsible for handling bulk deletion confirmation. It provides a confirmation dialog that prompts users before deleting all items from the inventory. This ensures data integrity by preventing accidental bulk deletions. We have one method, which is our double button method. This method creates and returns an alert dialog for confirmation bulk deletions. So we handle the user choices. We have the yes button and the no button. The yes button calls item list activity yes delete items method to delete all items, and then dismisses the dialog with the dialog cancel. The no button, when clicked, calls item list activity no delete items method to cancel the deletion process, and then we dismiss the cancel button. The create method returns the fully configured dialog so it can be displayed. Now we will take a look at our items. Our item Java class represents an inventory item. This data model defines the structure of inventory items and provides getter and setters method to access and modify items attributes. We have a constructor with ID, allows creating an item with all attributes, including its unique ID, useful when retrieving existing items from the database. Then we have a constructor used when creating a new item that hasn't been saved yet, meaning the ID will be generated automatically in the database. And then we have our getters and setters below. Now we will be looking at our items list activity class. Now we are looking at our items list activity Java class. Is the main screen for managing inventory it allows users to view, add, update, and delete inventory items while integrating real-time SMS notifications for low on stock alerts. This activity interacts with SQLite database via the SQLite via the items SQLite handler class and updates the list view dynamically. It also includes user authentication, bulk deletion, and SMS permission handling. We have our user interface components, our database handler and item list. We have our variables for user and app state. Our onCreate method sets up the activity and initializes the user interface components. I added comments to make the code easier to review. Below I have two methods for handling menu options, which is the onCreate menu and the on options item selected method. Below I have the onActivityResults method. This method is called when the add items activity finishes. It receives the result from the previous started activity. This method is called when the activity launched with start activity for result method finishes and returns a result. Then we have our delete all items method, which handles this method deletes all items from inventory after user confirmation. And then we have our SMS notification system below. This method sends an SMS alert when the inventory items quantity reaches 0. If SMS is denied, displays a toast message indicating that the feature is disabled. Now we will be looking at our items SQLite handler class. The items SQLite handler Java class is responsible for managing the SQLite database operations. It provides a structured way to store, retrieve, and update and delete inventory items. This class extends SQLite Open Helper, which allows it to create and upgrade the database, ensuring data persistence across the app sessions. Below we have our database details, our table columns, the item SQLite handler constructor. The constructor initializes the SQLite database using the super method from the SQLite Open Helper. Then we have our onCreate method, executes the SQL statement to create the table if it doesn't exist. Below we have our create item method, which inserts a new new inventory item into the database. Then we have our read item method, retrieves a single item using its ID. And we have our update item method. This method updates an existing item's details. Our delete item method removes an item from the database. Our get all items method gets a list of all inventory items. Our delete all items method deletes all inventory records. And finally, our get items count method returns the total number of items in the inventory. Now we'll be looking at our login activity class. My login activity Java class is responsible for handling user authentication and it enables users to log in, register, and reset their password using the SQLite database. This class interacts with the user SQLite handler database to validate user credentials, ensures secure authentication. Additionally, it includes a pop-up dialog for password recovery based on registered phone numbers. Below we have our user interface components, database handling, user information storage, and other variables such as pop-up window, which is a floating pop-up window for password recovery, which we will use for a floating pop-up window for password recovery, and boolean empty holder, which a flag to track empty input fields. We use it as a flag to track empty input fields. Below we have our onCreate method. This method initializes user interface components, connects to the database, and sets up click listeners for login, registration, and password recovery. We have our login function method. This method verifies the user's email and password against the database. Then we have our check edit text not empty method. This method ensures that the email and password fields are not empty before attempting login. After that, we have our check final result method. This method determines whether the user is authenticated or denied access. Our forgot pass pop-up method. This method displays a pop-up dialog where the user can retrieve their stored password by entering their registered phone number. Now we will be looking at our register activity class. Now we are looking at the register activity Java class. Handles user registration in the Paragraph Inventory Android application. It validates user input, checks if the email is already registered, and inserts new users into the SQLite database via the user SQLite handler class. This activity ensures that users provide valid credentials before creating an account, preventing duplicate email registrations, and ensuring data integrity. We have our onCreate method. This method initializes user interface components and connects to the database and sets up click listeners for registration and cancel actions. We have our insert users into database method, which inserts user details into the SQLite database. Then we have our check edit text not empty method, ensures that all required fields are filled before registration. Then we have the check email already exists method, checks if the entered email already exists in the database. Then we have our check final credentials method, which checks if the entered email already exists in the database. Then we have our check final credentials method, which is for final email validation and registration flow. And last, we have our empty edit text after data insert method. After successful registration, clears all input fields to reset the form. Now we'll be looking at our SMS notification class. Now we are looking at my SMS notification Java class. It is a utility class that provides an alert dialog to allow users to enable or disable SMS notifications in the Paragraph Inventory Android application. This class interacts with items list activity to update SMS notification preference based on the user's selection. And we only have one method. This method creates and returns the alert dialog for configuring SMS alerts. Now we'll be looking at our user class. Now the user Java class serves as a data model for storing user information, provides getter and setter methods to manage user attributes, ensuring a structured way to handle user authentication and data storage. So that in this class we have our user constructor, and we also have all of our getters and setters. Now we'll be looking at our user's SQLite handler class. Lastly, I have the user's SQLite handler Java class. Is responsible for managing SQLite database operations related to the user account. This class extends SQLite Open Helper, allowing it to create, read, update, and delete user records efficiently. It provides a structured approach to user authentication and profile management. Below we have our database details and table columns. We have our create user method. This method inserts a new user to the database. We have the read user method. This method retrieves user details using their ID. Then we have the update user method. This method updates a user's details. Then we have the get all users method. This method fetches all registered users from the database. Then we have our delete all users, which is used to delete all users. And our last method, get users count, returns the total numbers of registered users. Now we will go back to our app. Now I will provide a closing statement for the code review. Inventory Android application is a well-structured and functional inventory management system that demonstrates strong software engineering principles, including object-oriented programming. including object-oriented programming, database management, user interface design, and security considerations. The code is efficiently organized with modular components handling authentication, inventory tracking, and SMS notifications in a logical and maintainable manner. The application's use of SQLite for data persistence ensures reliable storage and retrieval of both user and inventory information. The login activity and register activity effectively manage user authentication, while the item list activity provides an intuitive user interface for managing inventory operations. The integration of real-time SMS notifications further enhances its usability, offering users timely alerts regarding low stock items. Additionally, the separate handler class for database operations, the user SQLite handler, and items SQLite handler follows best practice in code modularity, making the system scalable and maintainable. The custom items list adapter efficiently handles the dynamic display of inventory data, ensuring a smooth and responsive user experience. It's a well-designed, user-friendly, and efficient mobile application that provides seamless inventory tracking with secure authentication and real-time notifications. The project showcases a strong understanding of Android development principles and demonstrates proficiency in building functional mobile applications.